The funeral was a spectacle of wealth and whispered scandal. Sophia Hart stood at the back of the cathedral, watching her sister's white casket being carried down the aisle, and felt nothing but numb disbelief. 3 weeks ago, Claire had been alive, laughing, planning her daughter's 4th birthday party. Now she was gone, victim of a car accident that the police said was straightforward, but that Sophia's gut insisted was anything but. The widower sat in the front pew, his daughter tucked against his side. Even from this distance, Sophia could see the rigid set of Marcus Blackwood's shoulders, the way he held himself like a man barely keeping control. His face was a mask of grief that looked almost too perfect, too practiced. Sophia had met Marcus exactly 3 times before today. Once at his wedding to Claire 5 years ago, where he'd been charming and attentive in that way wealthy men were when they wanted something. Once at a strained family dinner 2 years later, where the cracks in the marriage had been obvious to anyone paying attention. And once 6 months ago, when Sophia had flown in unannounced and found Claire with a black eye she tried to hide with makeup. Claire had sworn it was nothing, an accident. She walked into a door. All the classic lies that women told when they were afraid. And now Claire was dead. Miss Hart, a lawyer in an expensive suit, materialized beside her. "I'm Richard Chen, Mr. Blackwood's attorney. He'd like to speak with you privately after the service." "Why?" "It concerns your niece and your sister's will." Sophia's stomach dropped. Claire left a will. "A very specific one. Please, if you could wait in the library, I'll come find you." The service dragged on forever. Person after person stood to speak about Claire, her charity work, her grace, her devotion to her family. No one mentioned the fear Sophia had seen in her sister's eyes 6 months ago. No one talked about the desperate late-night phone calls Claire had made, the ones where she'd started to say something important and then changed her mind, laughing it off. No one acknowledged that Claire had been preparing to leave Marcus, that she'd been gathering evidence, documenting things, building a case. And then she died in a convenient car accident with brake failure that the police had ruled mechanical error. Sophia waited in the library as instructed, surrounded by leather-bound books that probably cost more than her annual salary as a middle school art teacher. The Blackwood estate was obscene in its luxury, all marble and crystal, and the kind of quiet that only serious money could buy. The door opened. Marcus Blackwood entered, still in his funeral suit, looking like he'd stepped out of a cologne advertisement even in grief. He was handsome in that sharp-featured way that made him look slightly dangerous, with dark hair going silver at the temples and eyes so blue they looked artificial. Behind him came Richard Chen, and another man Sophia didn't recognize, older, gray-haired, carrying a leather briefcase. "Miss Hart, thank you for waiting." Marcus's voice was smooth, controlled. "This is Thomas Sterling, Claire's personal attorney. He has something to discuss with you." Sophia's hands clenched in her lap. "What's this about?" Sterling opened his briefcase and withdrew a document. "Your sister came to see me 3 months ago. She was very specific about her wishes regarding her daughter, Lily, should anything happen to her." 3 months ago. Sophia's voice was sharp. 3 months before she died in a tragic accident. Marcus's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, but he said nothing. Sterling continued as if she hadn't spoken. "Claire, will stipulates that in the event of her death, custody of Lily should go to you, Miss Hart, not to her father." The room spun. "What?" "Your sister was quite clear. She wanted Lily raised by you. However, there's a complication." Sterling glanced at Marcus. "Mr. Blackwood is contesting the will. As Lily's biological father, he has substantial legal standing." "Of course he's contesting it," Sophia said. "He's not going to let his daughter go without a fight." "Actually," Marcus spoke for the first time since Sterling began, his voice cold as winter, "I have a proposal." Sophia turned to look at him fully. "I don't want to hear anything you have to say." "Nevertheless, you're going to listen." Marcus moved to the bar cart, poured himself 2 fingers of scotch. He didn't offer her anything. Claire will present us both with a problem. You want custody of Lily. I refuse to give up my daughter. A custody battle would be expensive, lengthy, and traumatic for a 4-year-old who just lost her mother. So what are you suggesting? Marcus took a long drink before answering. Marriage. Sophia laughed a harsh sound. You've lost your mind. Have I think about it rationally. Claire wanted Lily raised by you. I won't allow my daughter to leave this house. Marriage solves both problems. You'd have full access to Lily, could be involved in every aspect of her upbringing, and I'd maintain custody as her father. You want me to marry you so I can be near my niece? That's insane. That's pragmatic. Marcus set down his glass. I've done research on you, Sophia. You make $43,000 a year teaching art to teenagers. You live in a 1-bedroom apartment in a questionable neighborhood. You have student loans, credit card debt, and last month you were late on your rent. Heat flooded Sophia's face. How dare you? I'm not judging. I'm stating facts. You cannot afford a custody battle against me. My legal team would bury you in motions and appeals until you were bankrupt. And in the end, I'd still win because I'm her father and I have unlimited resources. So this is blackmail. This is reality. Marcus's blue eyes were cold and calculating. Marry me, live here, help raise Lily. In exchange, you'll have security, access to your niece, and you'll honor Claire's wishes in the only way that's actually possible. And what do you get out of this, besides keeping your daughter? Something flickered across Marcus's face, too quick to read. Stability. Lily needs a mother figure. The optics of a grieving widower with a new wife who happens to be her beloved aunt are much better than a custody battle that would drag Claire's name through the mud. What do you mean, drag Claire's name through the mud? Marcus exchanged a look with Sterling. Your sister was planning to leave me. She hired a private investigator, made accusations about my business dealings, about our marriage, about other things. If those allegations became public in a custody hearing, it would be damaging to everyone, including Lily, who would grow up knowing her parents hated each other. Sophia stood abruptly. Let me make sure I understand this correctly. You want me to marry you to prevent Claire's accusations, whatever they were, from becoming public. This isn't about Lily at all. This is about protecting yourself. This is about protecting everyone. Marcus's voice didn't rise, but there was steel underneath. Including you, because if we go to court, Miss Hart, I will win. And I will make sure you never see Lily again. Not for birthdays, not for holidays, not ever. I'll have restraining orders, supervised visitation only, whatever it takes. Is that what you want? You're threatening me. I'm giving you a choice. Marry me under a carefully structured contract, separate bedrooms, no intimacy, a business arrangement to provide Lily with stability, or walk away and lose your niece forever. Sophia wanted to scream at him, to throw something, to call him every name she could think of, but she looked at Richard Chen and Thomas Sterling, both watching with carefully neutral expressions, and realized this wasn't a spontaneous threat. This was planned. They had documents ready. They'd anticipated every argument. Marcus had been preparing for this conversation, probably since before Claire's body was cold. How long? Sophia heard herself ask. I'm sorry. How long would this marriage last? Until Lily turns 18, 14 years. 14 years of living with a man I think killed my sister. The room went silent. Chen and Sterling looked shocked. Marcus's expression didn't change at all, which was somehow worse. I didn't kill Claire, Marcus said quietly, but I understand why you'd think that. Your sister was very convincing in her accusations. She was also very wrong. Then show me proof. Show me the investigation results, the evidence, everything. No. Why not? Because you've already decided I'm guilty. Nothing I show you will change your mind. Marcus moved closer, and Sophia forced herself not to step back. But I'll make you a deal. Marry me. Live here, if you find any evidence, real evidence, not paranoid speculation, that I had anything to do with Claire's death, I'll give you full custody of Lily and divorce you immediately. You'll have complete access to everything. Financial records, my schedule, this house, all of it. Investigate all you want. And if I find nothing, then you fulfill the contract for 14 years. At the end, you'll receive $10 million and can leave with a clear conscience, knowing you gave Lily the stability she needed. $10 million. Sophia's brain couldn't even process that amount of money. This is insane, she whispered. This is the only option that doesn't end with someone getting destroyed. Marcus pulled a document from his jacket pocket. The contract. Read it. Take your time. You have 48 hours to decide. He placed it on the desk between them, then walked out without another word. Chen and Sterling followed, leaving Sophia alone with a contract that would either save her niece or trap her with a murderer. She picked up the document with shaking hands and started to read. The contract was 23 pages of legal language that basically boiled down to: Sophia would marry Marcus Blackwood within 2 weeks. She would live at the Blackwood estate. She would act as stepmother to Lily. She would maintain the appearance of a real marriage in public. In exchange, she would receive a monthly allowance of $25,000, full access to Lily, and the freedom to pursue her own interests as long as they didn't interfere with her duties. The contract specified separate bedrooms, no expectation of physical intimacy, and a strict confidentiality clause. If Sophia spoke to the press or revealed the terms of their arrangement, she would forfeit everything and be barred from seeing Lily. There were clauses about public appearances, social obligations, and maintaining the Blackwood reputation. There were provisions for Lily's education, health care, and emotional well-being, with Sophia having equal say in all decisions. And there was the termination clause Marcus had mentioned. If either party could prove the other had acted in bad faith or illegal behavior, the contract would be void and custody would be determined by the courts. It was, Sophia realized, exactly what Marcus had said it was: a business arrangement dressed up as a marriage. She spent the night in a hotel, unable to face going back to her apartment, and called the one person she trusted. "This is insane," her best friend Maya said when Sophia explained everything. "You can't actually be considering this. It's the only way to stay in Lily's life. It's a trap, Soph. He's manipulating you, using your love for your niece to control you." "I know, but if he really did kill Claire, this is my chance to prove it. He's giving me access to everything. Or he's confident there's nothing to find because he covered his tracks." Maya's voice was gentle. "Honey, I love you, but this is a billionaire who had 3 months to erase any evidence. You're not going to find anything." "Maybe not, but I have to try, for Claire, for Lily." "And what about for you? What about your life, your career, your chance at real love? You're going to give up 14 years. Sophia didn't have an answer for that. The next morning, she went to visit Lily. The little girl was staying with Marcus's mother, a cold woman named Evelyn who looked at Sophia like she was something unpleasant tracked in on someone's shoe. "5 minutes," Evelyn said. "She needs stability, not more disruption." Lily was in a playroom that looked like a toy store had exploded. She sat in the middle of it all, clutching a stuffed rabbit, not playing with anything. "Aunt Sophie," the little girl's voice was small, uncertain. Sophia dropped to her knees, pulling Lily into a hug. "Hey, baby, I'm here." "Where, Mommy?" The question broke Sophia's heart. "Mommy had to go away, sweetheart, but she loves you so much, so much. Daddy says Mommy's in heaven with the angels, but I want her here." "I know, I want her here too." Lily pulled back, looking at Sophia with Claire's eyes. "Are you going away too?" And there it was, the only question that mattered. Sophia thought about the contract sitting in her hotel room, about 14 years of living with a man who might be a murderer, about giving up her freedom, her chance at a real life, her dignity. Then she looked at Lily's face and knew there was only one answer she could give. "No, baby, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay right here with you, I promise. Forever. Forever." When Sophia left the Blackwood mansion an hour later, she had her phone out before she reached her car. Marcus answered on the first ring. "Have you decided?" "I have conditions." "I'm listening." "I want weekly video calls with a therapist of my choosing for Lily, not someone on your payroll, someone independent." "Agreed." "I want access to Claire's personal belongings, everything she left behind. Her computer, her phone, her journals, all of it." A pause. "Why?" "Because I want to understand my sister's life. If you have nothing to hide, you'll agree." Another pause, longer this time. "Fine. You can have everything except her phone. The police still have it as part of the accident investigation." "When will I get it?" "When they release it, anything else." Sophia took a breath. "I want Thursdays off, completely off. No obligations, no appearances, no duties. Every Thursday I get to leave the estate and do whatever I want." "Why Thursdays?" "Because I need to remember I'm still a person, not just a contract wife and substitute mother. Do we have a deal?" "We have a deal. I'll have Chen draw up the amendments. Can you be here tomorrow to sign?" "Yes." "Good, and Sophia?" "Yes." "Thank you for doing this for Lily. Whatever you think of me, I do appreciate that you're putting her first." Sophia hung up without responding. She sat in her car in the parking lot and let herself cry for exactly 5 minutes. Then she wiped her eyes, started the engine, and drove back to her apartment to pack up her life. In 2 weeks, she would marry a man she suspected of murder. And she would spend every single day searching for the truth about what really happened to her sister, even if that truth destroyed them all. The wedding was even more of a lie than the funeral had been. It took place in the Blackwood estate's private chapel, with only a handful of witnesses: Marcus's lawyer, his mother Evelyn, Lily, and a judge who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Sophia wore a simple cream dress she'd bought off the rack, refusing to play the blushing bride in white. Marcus wore a black suit that probably cost more than her car. The vows were mercifully brief, legal words about commitment and partnership that meant nothing. When the judge said, "You may kiss the bride," Marcus leaned in and pressed a chaste kiss to Sophia's cheek that lasted exactly 1 second. "Welcome to the family," Evelyn said afterward, her voice dripping with disdain. "I hope you understand what you're getting yourself into." "I understand perfectly," Sophia replied, meeting the older woman's cold gaze. "I'm here for Lily." "Of course you are." Evelyn's smile was razor-sharp. "Just like Claire was here for the money at first. We all know how that ended." Before Sophia could respond, Lily tugged on her dress. "Aunt Sophie, are you my new mommy now?" Sophia crouched down, taking the little girl's hands. "I'm your Aunt Sophie who loves you very much and is going to live here with you. Is that okay?" Lily nodded solemnly. "Daddy says you're going to take care of me like Mommy did." "I'm going to try my very best, sweetheart." "Can we have pancakes for breakfast tomorrow? Mommy always made pancakes on Saturdays." Sophia's throat tightened. "Absolutely, pancakes every Saturday, I promise." That night, Sophia stood in the middle of what was now her bedroom, a massive suite on the opposite end of the house from Marcus's master bedroom, and tried to process that this was her life now. The room was beautiful in an impersonal way, all cream and gold and expensive furniture that looked like it had never been used. Nothing in it felt like hers. A knock on the door interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Marcus stood in the hallway, still wearing his suit pants but having lost the jacket and tie. He looked tired, human for the first time since she'd met him. "I wanted to show you something," he said. "Claire's things. They're in the East Wing storage room. I had them moved there after the funeral." Sophia followed him through the labyrinth of hallways. acutely aware that she was now living in a house so large she needed a map. The storage room turned out to be bigger than her old apartment, filled with carefully labeled boxes. "Everything's here," Marcus said, gesturing. "Her clothes, books, personal items. Her laptop is in that box there. The password is Lily's birthday, 0417. You know her computer password." "I know a lot of things about my wife," Sophia knew. "I knew a lot of things about her." His voice was carefully neutral. "I'll leave you to it. If you need anything, my study is on the second floor, West Wing." "Marcus, wait." Sophia surprised herself by calling him back. "Why are you really doing this? The marriage, I mean. You could have fought me in court and probably won." He turned, his expression unreadable. "Could I have? Maybe, but Lily's already traumatized. The last thing she needs is a ugly custody battle where lawyers parade out every ugly detail of her parents' marriage." He paused. "And despite what you think, I'm not a monster. Claire wanted you in Lily's life, so you're in Lily's life. It's that simple." "Nothing about this is simple." "No," Marcus agreed. "It's not, but it's what we have to work with." He started to leave, then stopped. "One more thing. Lily has nightmares, almost every night since Claire died. She usually wakes up around 2 a.m. I've been going to her, but now that you're here, maybe she'd respond better to you." "I'll listen for her." Marcus nodded and left. Sophia stood alone in the storage room, surrounded by the remnants of her sister's life, and felt the weight of what she'd agreed to settle over her like a shroud. She started with the laptop. It took her 3 tries to get the password right. She'd been using the year 2017 instead of just 17. When it finally opened, she found herself staring at Claire's desktop, a photo of Lily as the background. The email was organized obsessively. Sophia scrolled through months of correspondence, charity event planning, PTA meetings, doctor's appointments for Lily. Nothing unusual, nothing suspicious. Then she found the folder labeled private. Inside were email exchanges with someone named Jay Morrison. The earliest was dated 8 months ago. "Claire, I need to know if what I suspect is true. Can you investigate discreetly?" "Jay Morrison, I can. But Mrs. Blackwood, if your husband discovers I'm looking into his business dealings, it could be dangerous for both of us." "Claire, I'll pay whatever you need. I just need proof." Sophia's heart raced as she scrolled through the exchange. Jay Morrison was clearly a private investigator. Claire had hired him to dig into Marcus's company, Blackwood Industries. But the emails were frustratingly vague about what exactly Claire suspected. The last email was dated 1 week before Claire's death. "Jay Morrison, I found something. We need to meet in person. This is bigger than I thought. Don't discuss this over email or phone. Tuesday, 3 p.m., the usual place." "Claire, I'll be there." But Claire had died on Monday, the day before the meeting. Sophia sat back, her mind racing. This was it. This was evidence that something wasn't right about Claire's death. She needed to find Jay Morrison, needed to know what he'd discovered. She was so absorbed in the laptop that she didn't hear the door open behind her. "Find anything interesting?" Sophia spun around, her heart hammering. Marcus leaned against the doorframe, a glass of scotch in his hand, watching her with those unnervingly blue eyes. "Just looking through some photos," Sophia lied, quickly closing the email program. "Remembering Claire." "At midnight, you're dedicated." Marcus moved into the room, and Sophia had to force herself not to back away. "You're looking for evidence that I killed her. Let's not pretend otherwise." "I'm not pretending anything. You gave me permission to investigate." "So I did." Marcus took a sip of his drink. "Find anything damning?" "Not yet." "You will though, won't you? Keep looking until you find something, anything that confirms what you already believe." He moved closer, and Sophia caught the scent of expensive scotch and something else. Cologne, maybe, or just the smell of money. "Let me save you some time. Yes, Claire hired a private investigator. Yes, she was digging into my business. Yes, we were having problems. Then tell me what she found. Tell me what she suspected. I don't know. She never told me. Whatever Morrison discovered, he took it with him when he disappeared. Sophia's blood ran cold, disappeared. 2 days after Claire's death, his office was cleaned out, his phone disconnected. Jay Morrison, if that was even his real name, vanished completely. Marcus's expression was unreadable. Suspicious, isn't it? You're saying this to manipulate me, to make me think. I'm stating facts. Check for yourself. The police looked into it as part of their investigation. Morrison's disappearance is documented, but they concluded it was unrelated to Claire's accident because there was no evidence connecting the two events. How convenient for you. Convenient. For the first time, real emotion flashed across Marcus's face, anger, raw and barely controlled. My wife died, Sophia. Whatever problems we had, whatever she suspected about me, I didn't want her dead. Lily didn't deserve to lose her mother, and I certainly didn't benefit from becoming a widower with a traumatized 4-year-old to raise alone. Then help me find Morrison. Help me figure out what Claire discovered. Marcus studied her for a long moment. Why would I do that if I'm guilty? I don't know. Maybe you're playing some twisted game. Maybe you think I'll never find anything. Maybe you're confident you covered your tracks perfectly. Or maybe, Marcus said quietly, I'm innocent and I want the truth just as much as you do. Did that possibility ever occur to you? Before Sophia could answer, a scream pierced the air. Both of them froze. Lily, Marcus said, already moving. They ran through the hallways, reaching Lily's bedroom within seconds. The little girl was sitting up in bed, sobbing, her eyes wide with terror. Mommy, she wailed. I want Mommy. Sophia reached her first, pulling Lily into her arms. SHH, baby, it's okay. It's okay, I'm here. I had a bad dream. Mommy was in the car and it was dark and she was scared and I couldn't help her. Lily's whole body shook with sobs. Marcus stood frozen in the doorway, his face pale. Sophia looked at him over Lily's head and saw something that looked like genuine anguish. It was just a dream, sweetheart, Sophia murmured, rocking Lily gently. Just a bad dream. But what if Mommy was scared? What if she needed me and I wasn't there? Your mommy knew you loved her. She knew that every single day. And she wasn't scared at the end, I promise. She was thinking about you and how much she loved you. Sophia had no idea if that was true, but Lily needed to hear it. The little girl gradually calmed, her sobs subsiding into hiccups. Will you stay with me, Lily asked, until I fall asleep? Of course. Sophia settled into the bed beside Lily, stroking her hair. Marcus still stood in the doorway, looking lost. Daddy, you too, Lily said sleepily. Both of you stay. Marcus hesitated, then moved to the other side of the bed, sitting on top of the covers. For a surreal moment, they looked like a real family, mother, father, and child settling in for the night. Lily fell asleep within minutes, her breathing evening out. Sophia carefully extracted herself and headed for the door. Marcus followed. In the hallway, they stood in awkward silence. She has those nightmares every night, Sophia finally asked. Every night, sometimes multiple times. The therapist says it's normal for traumatized children, that it'll get better with time. And does it get better? Some nights are worse than others. Marcus rubbed his face tiredly. Thank you for handling that. You're good with her. She's my niece. Of course I'm good with her. Claire was right to want you in her life. Whatever else was wrong between us, she was right about that. Sophia didn't know what to say to that, so she said nothing. They stood there, two strangers bound by a contract and a dead woman and a traumatized little girl. I didn't kill her, Marcus said quietly. I know you don't believe me. I know the timing looks suspicious and the circumstances are questionable. But Sophia, I swear to you, I didn't kill Claire. Then who did? I don't know, maybe no one. Maybe it really was just an accident. but he didn't sound convinced. "You don't believe that?" "No," Marcus admitted. "I don't. Claire was a good driver, she just had the car serviced. The brake failure doesn't make sense. But the police found no evidence of tampering, no signs of foul play. Sometimes cars just fail. Sometimes terrible things happen for no reason. That's not good enough. Not for me. Not when my sister is dead and a private investigator is missing, and everything about this situation screams that something is wrong." "Then investigate. That's why I gave you access to everything. Find the truth, whatever it is." Marcus moved closer, his voice dropping. "But Sophia, be careful. If Claire really did discover something dangerous, if someone really did kill her to keep her quiet, then you digging into the same things makes you a target too." "Is that a threat?" "It's a warning from someone who knows how ruthless people can be when they're protecting secrets." Marcus held her gaze. "I may be a lot of things, but I'm not going to let anyone hurt Lily's aunt. Not on my watch." He walked away, leaving Sophia standing alone in the darkened hallway, trying to figure out if she'd just been warned or threatened or protected. Maybe all three. The next morning, Sophia woke early to make good on her promise of pancakes. She found the kitchen, a massive space that looked like it belonged in a restaurant, and was surprised to discover Marcus already there, drinking coffee and reading something on his tablet. "You're up early," he said without looking at her. "I promised Lily pancakes. I'm not breaking promises on day one. The cook usually handles breakfast. Maria, she'll be in at 7. I can make pancakes myself, thanks." Marcus finally looked up. "Suit yourself. The ingredients are in the pantry, second door on the left." Sophia found everything she needed and got to work. She was halfway through mixing the batter when Lily appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "Aunt Sophie, you're really making pancakes." "I promised, didn't I? Go wash your hands and sit at the table. These'll be ready in 5 minutes." Lily scampered off. Marcus watched Sophia with an expression she couldn't read. "What?" she demanded. "Nothing. It's just Claire used to do that. Make pancakes on Saturday mornings. Lily in her pajamas, Claire at the stove. It was the only time the house felt like a home instead of a museum." There was something in his voice, genuine grief, maybe, or regret. Sophia didn't want to feel sympathy for him, but she felt it anyway. "Did you love her?" The question was out before Sophia could stop it. "Claire, I mean, did you actually love her?" Marcus was silent for so long Sophia thought he wouldn't answer. Then, "I don't know, I thought I did when we got married. She was beautiful, intelligent, from the right family. It made sense. But love, real love, I don't think either of us knew what that was. We had a partnership. We had Lily. We had an understanding." "That's the saddest thing I've ever heard." "It's honest, which is more than most marriages get." Marcus stood, carrying his coffee cup to the sink. "I have calls this morning. I'll be in my study. Lily knows she's not supposed to interrupt when the door is closed, but if there's an emergency, come get me." He left just as Lily came bouncing back, her hands still damp from washing. Sophia served up pancakes with strawberries and whipped cream, exactly the way Claire used to make them, and tried not to think about the sad, empty marriage her sister had endured. After breakfast, while Lily played in her room, Sophia returned to the storage room. She spent half the night thinking about Jay Morrison and his disappearance. If Marcus was telling the truth about the police investigation, there would be records, reports, something. She needed to find someone who could help her dig deeper. Someone who understood investigations and knew how to navigate police bureaucracy. Sophia pulled out her phone and called the one person who might be able to help, her college roommate who'd become a defense attorney. "Rachel, it's Sophia. I need a favor, a big one." "Soph, oh my God, I heard about Claire. I'm so sorry. How are you holding up?" "That's actually why I'm calling. I need you to look into something for me. A private investigator named Jay Morrison who was working for my sister and then disappeared right after she died. Disappeared how? Just vanished. Office cleaned out, phone disconnected, no trace. The police supposedly investigated but found nothing suspicious. Rachel was quiet for a moment. Sophia, what are you getting yourself into? I'm trying to find out what really happened to my sister. Will you help me? Of course I'll help you. But Soph, if you're right and something shady is going on, be careful. People who make other people disappear don't usually stop at one. After hanging up, Sophia sat in the storage room, surrounded by boxes of Claire's life, and wondered what her sister had discovered that was worth killing for, and whether finding out the truth would cost Sophia everything she'd agreed to this marriage to protect. 3 weeks into the marriage, Sophia had established a routine. Mornings with Lily, pancakes, playing, reading stories. Afternoons digging through Claire's belongings while Lily napped or played with her nanny. Evenings maintaining the facade of a functional family during dinner, after which Marcus would disappear into his study and Sophia would put Lily to bed. They existed in the same house like ghosts passing through walls, rarely speaking beyond what was necessary for Lily's sake. Until the night everything changed. Sophia was in the storage room again, going through Claire's journals for the third time when her phone rang. Rachel. I found something, her friend said without preamble, about Jay Morrison. Sophia sat up straighter. What? First of all, that's not his real name. His actual name is James Morty. He's a former cop turned pie, works mostly corporate espionage and marital affairs. Has a reputation for being thorough and discreet. Had a reputation, past tense. Right, because he's dead, Soph. The room tilted. What? His body was found 2 weeks ago in a motel room in Nevada. Drug overdose. Police ruled it accidental. Apparently he had a history of substance abuse. But here's the thing. I talked to a buddy of mine who works in the Clark County ME's office. Off the record, he said the scene was hinky. Too clean. Too staged. But without evidence of foul play, they couldn't rule it a homicide. Sophia's hands were shaking. He didn't disappear, he ran, and someone found him. That's one theory. The other is that he really did overdose, and it's just a tragic coincidence. You don't believe in coincidences any more than I do. No, I don't. Rachel's voice was grim. Sophia, whatever your sister was investigating, it got a man killed. You need to stop digging and go to the police. And tell them what? That I have a feeling. That a pie died of an overdose 2 states away, and I think it's connected to my sister's car accident. They'll laugh me out of the station. Then hire your own investigator, someone who can dig into this properly. With what money? My allowance from Marcus, that'll go over well. Sophia. I have to go, thank you for finding this. I'll be careful, I promise. She hung up before Rachel could argue further. Sophia sat in the darkness of the storage room, her mind racing. James Morty was dead. Really dead, not just disappeared. And if Marcus had been telling the truth about not knowing what Claire discovered, then someone else was involved. Someone dangerous enough to kill a private investigator. The question was, did Marcus know who, or was he the one who'd given the order? Sophia was so lost in thought that she didn't hear the door open behind her. You're here late. She jumped, spinning around. Marcus stood in the doorway, still dressed in his work clothes, expensive suit, tie loosened, looking exhausted. I couldn't sleep, Sophia said, closing the journal she'd been pretending to read. Thought I'd spend some time with Claire's things. You're a terrible liar. Marcus moved into the room. What did you find? Nothing. Sophia, his voice was patient but firm. I can see it on your face. Something happened. What is it? She debated lying again, then decided against it. If Marcus was innocent, he deserved to know. If he was guilty, maybe she could gauge his reaction. The private investigator, Jay Morrison. His real name was James Morty and he's dead. Drug overdose in Nevada 2 weeks ago. Marcus's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. When did you find out? Just now. A friend of mine looked into it. What friend? Does it matter? It does if you're putting other people at risk by involving them in this. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. Sophia, I told you to be careful. I meant it. If you're so concerned about my safety, tell me what Claire found. Tell me what you're hiding. I'm not hiding anything. Then why was your wife so terrified of you 6 months ago that she had a black eye and was planning to leave? Why was she investigating your company? What did she think you done? Marcus's face went pale. She told you about that, about the black eye. I saw it myself. I flew out unannounced and found her trying to cover it with makeup. She said she'd walked into a door, but we both know that's a lie women tell when they're being abused. I didn't hit her. Marcus's voice was tight with controlled fury. I have never hit a woman in my life. That black eye, she got it falling down the stairs. The marble stairs in the East Wing. She'd been drinking, something she was doing more and more toward the end, and she tripped. I wasn't even home when it happened. The staff can confirm it. The staff who work for you and depend on you for their livelihoods. Very reliable witnesses. Believe what you want. I know what happened. Then tell me about the rest of it. The investigation into your company. What was Claire looking for? Marcus stared at her for a long moment, and Sophia could see him warring with himself. Finally, he seemed to make a decision. Come with me. There's something I need to show you. He led her through the mansion to his study, a room Sophia had never entered. It was masculine and imposing, all dark wood and leather, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the estate grounds. Marcus went to his desk, unlocked a drawer, and pulled out a file. This is what Claire was investigating, he said, handing it to her. Or at least, what I think she was investigating. Sophia opened the file. Inside were financial documents, email printouts, and what looked like corporate records for Blackwood Industries. She scanned the pages, trying to make sense of the numbers and transactions. I don't understand. What am I looking at? Money laundering, or what Claire thought was money laundering. Marcus sat heavily in his desk chair. About a year ago, she started asking questions about some of my business dealings. Specifically, about a subsidiary company we acquired in the Cayman Islands. She thought I was using it to hide money, to avoid taxes, maybe to launder funds from illegal sources. Were you? No, but I can see why she'd think that. The transactions look suspicious if you don't understand the full context. The subsidiary was struggling financially, and we were moving money around trying to shore it up. It was all legal, all documented, but on paper, it looks bad. So you're saying Claire hired a private investigator to look into legal business dealings? I'm saying Claire had gotten it into her head that I was a criminal, that I'd built my fortune on illegal activities, and once she decided that, she interpreted everything through that lens. Marcus's voice was heavy with regret. I tried to explain it to her. I showed her the legitimate documentation, but she didn't trust me anymore. Maybe she never really trusted me. Why wouldn't she trust you? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Because I lied to her, early in our marriage, about something stupid and relatively minor. Business deal that went bad, and I didn't want to worry her, so I told her everything was fine when it was. She found out, and after that, she never quite believed me again. What kind of lie? I told her we were financially secure when we actually weren't. I'd made some risky investments that nearly bankrupted us. I managed to recover, to rebuild, but she found out I'd been lying for months. She was pregnant with Lily at the time, terrified we'd lose the house, lose everything. I promised her I'd never lie again, but the trust was broken. Sophia studied his face, trying to determine if this was another performance or genuine confession. If this is all legal and documented, why not just show this to Claire? Why let her think the worst? I tried, she wouldn't listen. By the time she hired Morty, she'd already decided I was guilty. Nothing I said would have changed her mind. Marcus stood, packing to the windows. And then she died and Morty disappeared, and I thought maybe that was the end of it, that whatever she discovered, or thought she discovered, died with her. But it didn't, because now Morty is dead too. Yes. So either you're lying to me right now, or someone else wanted Claire and Morty silenced. Someone who knew what they were investigating. Marcus turned to face her. That's what I've been trying to figure out for the last 3 weeks. If I'm innocent, and I am, then who gains from making me look guilty? Who benefits from Claire's death? It was a good question, one Sophia had been too focused on Marcus to consider. Who inherits if something happens to you? She asked slowly. Lily, with the estate held in trust until she's 25, and the trustee, Marcus's face went still. The trustee is my business partner, Alexander Voss. Tell me about him. We started Blackwood Industries together 15 years ago. I provided the vision and initial capital. He provided the technical expertise. We built it from nothing into a billion-dollar company. He owns 40%, I own 60%. We've been partners and friends for over a decade. What happens to his shares if you die? They stay his. But if Lily inherits as a minor and I'm dead, Alex would effectively control the company until she comes of age. That's 15 years of running Blackwood Industries however he wants. Sophia's mind was racing. Has he been pushing for any changes? Anything you've blocked? We've had disagreements. What partners don't? But nothing worth killing over, at least I didn't think so. Marcus pulled out his phone, scrolling through something. Wait, 6 months ago, right around when Claire got her black eye falling down the stairs, Alex pitched a merger deal, wanted to sell Blackwood Industries to a Chinese conglomerate for $3 billion. I refused, said I wanted to keep the company in family hands, build something to pass down to Lily. How did he react? He was angry, said I was being sentimental and stupid, that we'd never get a better offer. We fought about it for weeks, but eventually he backed down, said he respected my decision even if he didn't agree with it. Or he found another way to get what he wanted. Sophia's hands clenched into fists. If Claire's death looked like an accident and you went down for it, or even if suspicion just hung over you, your reputation would be destroyed. The company would suffer, and then, if something happened to you, Alex would control everything with Lily as the convenient excuse. Marcus's voice was cold with dawning realization. He could sell to the Chinese company, pocket his share, and disappear, and I'd either be dead or in prison for a murder I didn't commit. It's just a theory, Sophia said, but her mind was already spinning with possibilities. We'd need proof. Proof that my business partner killed my wife and a private investigator to frame me for murder and gain control of my company. Marcus laughed bitterly. That'll be easy to find. Morty must have found something concrete enough that he told Claire they needed to meet, something worth killing him over. But what, and where is it now? Before Sophia could answer, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Stop digging. This is your only warning. The blood drained from her face. Marcus saw her expression and crossed the room in 2 strides. What is it? She showed him the phone. His jaw clenched. This stops now, he said. No more investigating. No more questions. It's too dangerous. Like hell it stops. Someone just threatened me, which means we're getting close to something. Sophia, listen to me. No, you listen to me. My sister is dead. A private investigator is dead. Someone is threatening me to keep quiet. That tells me we're on the right track. I'm not stopping now. Even if it gets you killed. Even then. Because the alternative is letting whoever did this get away with it. Is that what you want? To let Claire's murderer walk free? Marcus stared at her, conflict clear on his face. I want you safe. I want Lily safe. That's all I care about. Then help me, really help me. Give me everything you have on Alexander Voss. Financial records, emails, meeting notes, everything. If he's behind this, there'll be a trail. And if we find that trail, if we prove he killed Claire, what then? We take it to the police and hope they believe us over a respected businessman with unlimited resources for lawyers. I don't know, Sophia admitted, but I know we can't just do nothing. Marcus was silent for a long moment. Then he moved to his desk, pulled out a tablet and started typing. Everything I have on Alex is on the company's servers. I'll give you access. But Sophia, if this goes wrong, if something happens to you, I won't forgive myself. Lily won't forgive me, so please, please be careful. I will. But they both knew it was a promise she might not be able to keep. Over the next week, Sophia dove into Blackwood Industries, records with an obsession that bordered on mania. She barely slept, barely ate, existing on coffee and determination. Marcus gave her a temporary office in the house and stayed close, helping her navigate the complex financial documents and corporate structures. They fell into a strange partnership, not quite allies, not quite friends, but united by a common goal. Late nights in the office, comparing notes, arguing theories, slowly building a picture of what might have happened. And slowly, painfully, Sophia began to see Marcus as more than just a suspect. She saw his dedication to Lily, the way his face softened when his daughter laughed. She saw his intelligence and dry humor. She saw the weight of grief and guilt he carried, the way Claire's death had broken something in him. She didn't want to see these things, didn't want to feel the slight flutter in her chest when he smiled at something she said, or the warmth that spread through her when his hand accidentally brushed hers reaching for the same document. This was wrong. This was her dead sister's husband. This was a contract, not a real marriage. This was. Sophia, look at this. Marcus's voice cut through her spiraling thoughts. He was pointing at something on his laptop screen, an email exchange between Alexander Voss and someone named Chen Wei, dated 7 months ago. AV, the Blackwood situation is becoming untenable. M refuses to see reason about the merger. CW, perhaps he needs additional motivation, something to make him reconsider his position. AV, I'm working on it. His wife may be a useful pressure point. CW, be careful. We can't afford mistakes. AV, there won't be any mistakes. I promise you that. Sophia read it 3 times, her heart pounding. This is it. This is proof he was planning something involving Claire. It's proof he mentioned her. It's not proof he killed her. But it's a start. Who's Chen Wei? CEO of the Chinese conglomerate that wanted to buy Blackwood Industries, the one Alex wanted to sell to. Marcus was already typing, pulling up more records. If we can prove Alex was colluding with Chen to force me into selling, then we have motive, real concrete motive. They worked through the night, following the thread of emails and meetings and suspicious financial transactions. By dawn, they had a timeline. Alexander Voss had been planning to force Marcus into the merger for months. He'd been meeting with Chen Wei secretly. He'd been moving money in ways that suggested he was preparing for something. And then Claire had hired James Morty to investigate Marcus's business dealings. Morty, in digging into Marcus, would have inevitably uncovered Alex's activities. The plan to force the merger would have been exposed. So Alex had needed them both gone. Claire dead in a tragic accident, Morty dead from an apparent overdose, and Marcus left looking suspicious enough that his reputation and the company's would be destroyed, making the merger the only logical way to salvage anything. It was elegant, ruthless, and they still couldn't prove a single bit of it. We need Morty's files, Sophia said. Whatever he found, wherever he kept his research, that's the smoking gun. His office was cleaned out. The police didn't find anything useful. Then we need to find out who cleaned it out, who had access, who. Marcus's phone rang, cutting her off. He glanced at the screen and his face went pale. It's Alex. He wants to meet, says it's urgent. Sophia's blood ran cold. Don't go. I have to. If I don't, he'll know we suspect something. Marcus stood, straightening his shirt. I'll be fine. It's a public restaurant lunch meeting, nothing suspicious. Marcus, stay here with Lily. I'll be back in 2 hours. He paused at the door. And Sophia, if I'm not back in 3 hours, take Lily and run. Get somewhere safe and call the police. Then he was gone, leaving Sophia alone with a pile of circumstantial evidence and a growing sense of dread that they'd made a terrible mistake. That investigating a murderer always came with a price. And they were about to find out just how high that price could be. 3 hours and 15 minutes. Sophia stared at her phone, Marcus's words echoing in her mind. If I'm not back in 3 hours, take Lily and run. It had been 3 hours and 15 minutes since he'd left for his meeting with Alexander Voss. She'd already called his cell 4 times, straight to voicemail. She'd texted, no response. She'd even called his assistant, who said Marcus had left the restaurant over an hour ago and should have been home by now. Lily was upstairs with her nanny, blissfully unaware that anything was wrong. Sophia stood in the foyer, car keys in her shaking hand, trying to decide if she was being paranoid or if Marcus was actually in danger. Her phone rang, unknown number. Hello? Mrs. Blackwood. The voice was smooth, cultured, unfamiliar. Or should I call you Miss Hart? I understand your marriage is rather unconventional. Who is this? My name is Alexander Voss. I believe you've been doing some research on me. Sophia's blood turned to ice. Where, Marcus? Safe for now. That's actually why I'm calling. We need to have a conversation, you and I, about what happens next. If you've hurt him. Please, I'm not a movie villain. Marcus is fine. Just a bit detained. I needed time to speak with you privately, and he would have insisted on being present. This way is cleaner. What do you want? The same thing you want, Miss Hart. The truth. So let's stop playing games. You've been digging into your sister's death. You've discovered things about my business dealings with Marcus. You probably think you know what happened to Claire. You killed her. You killed her because she was going to expose your plan to force Marcus into the merger. Voss laughed, and the sound made Sophia's skin crawl. Is that what you think? How delightfully simple. No, Miss Hart, I didn't kill your sister, though I understand why you'd make that assumption. Then who did? That's the question, isn't it? The one your sister was trying to answer when she died. The one that got James Morty killed. The one that's now going to get you killed unless you're very, very smart about what you do next. Sophia's hand tightened on the keys. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you, there's a difference. You see, I did want to force Marcus into the merger. That part is true. And yes, Claire's investigation would have complicated things. But I'm a businessman, not a murderer. When I want something, I negotiate, I maneuver, I apply pressure. I don't kill people. Then why is Morty dead? Because he found out who did kill Claire, and that person couldn't allow that information to become public. Voss paused. I'm going to text you an address. Come alone. Bring the evidence you've gathered. We're going to end this today one way or another. You have 30 minutes. What about Marcus? Where is he? He'll be at the address too. 30 minutes, Miss Hart, or your niece becomes an orphan. The line went dead. Sophia stood frozen, her mind racing. This was insane. This was obviously a trap. She should call the police, get Lily to safety, do anything except what Voss was telling her to do. But if Marcus was really in danger? Her phone buzzed. A text with an address, a warehouse district on the edge of the city, and a photo attached. Marcus, sitting in what looked like an empty office, very much alive but with his hands zip-tied to a chair. The message was clear, come alone or he dies. Sophia ran upstairs, found the nanny. I have to go out. Emergency. Stay with Lily. Don't let anyone in the house except me or Marcus. Anyone else, you call 911 immediately. Understand?" The nanny, a sensible woman named Rosa, nodded. "Miss Hart, are you in trouble?" "I hope not, but if I'm not back in 2 hours, call this number." Sophia scribbled Rachel's information on a piece of paper. "Tell her everything. Tell her about Marcus, about Alexander Voss, about Claire. Everything. Promise me." "I promise, but Miss Hart, I have to go." Sophia kissed a sleeping Lily on the forehead, whispered, "I love you," and prayed it wasn't goodbye. The drive to the warehouse took 23 minutes. Sophia spent every second of it trying to figure out what she was walking into. If Voss didn't kill Claire, who did? And why would he help her find out? Unless this was all part of some elaborate plan to get rid of both her and Marcus at once. The warehouse loomed ahead, a massive concrete structure in an industrial area that looked abandoned. Sophia parked and checked her phone. 1 bar of signal. She quickly typed a text to Rachel with her location and set it to send in 1 hour if she didn't cancel it. Insurance, in case this went wrong. The warehouse door was unlocked. Inside, the space was cavernous and dim, lit only by dirty skylights and a few fluorescent fixtures. Sophia's footsteps echoed as she walked deeper into the building. "Hello," her voice sounded small, swallowed by the vast emptiness. "This way." Voss's voice came from somewhere ahead. Sophia followed it to a makeshift office setup, a desk, some chairs, and Marcus, still zip-tied but looking unharmed. His eyes widened when he saw her. "Sophia, no, you shouldn't have come." "Touching," Voss said. He was older than Sophia expected, mid-50s, with silver hair and the kind of face that could sell confidence. He sat behind the desk like this was a boardroom instead of an abandoned warehouse. The protective husband. It's almost convincing. "Let him go," Sophia demanded. "You said you wanted to talk. Fine, let's talk, but let Marcus go first." "Not yet. First, I need to know what you found, what evidence you have against me." "You just said you didn't kill Claire." "I didn't, but I've done plenty of other things that I'd prefer stayed private. So, what do you have?" Sophia pulled out her phone, opened the photos of the emails she and Marcus had found. "Evidence that you were planning to force Marcus into a merger against his will, that you were working with Chenwei to pressure him, that you mentioned using Claire as a pressure point." Voss examined the screen, nodded. "Yes, that's all true. I did plan to pressure Marcus using his marriage, not by killing Claire, by exposing her affair." The room went silent. "What affair?" Marcus's voice was tight. "Oh, you didn't know? Interesting." Voss looked almost amused. "Your wife was having an affair with her personal trainer, had been for about 6 months before she died. I found out about it and was planning to use it as leverage. Tell Marcus, let him divorce Claire. The scandal would weaken him emotionally and financially, make him more amenable to selling the company. It was a solid plan." "You're lying," Sophia said, but her voice lacked conviction. She thought about Claire's growing distance, her secretive phone calls, the way she'd avoided Sophia's visits in those final months. "I'm not, and James Morty knew about the affair too. That's actually what he was investigating, not Marcus's business dealings but Claire's personal life. She hired him to confirm her suspicions about Marcus, and he'd ended up uncovering her own secret instead. Ironic, really." "Then why is he dead?" Marcus demanded. "If he found out about Claire's affair, why kill him?" "Because he found out something else. Something that got him killed and Claire killed, and that's about to get all of us killed if we don't figure out what to do about it." A door slammed somewhere in the warehouse. All three of them froze. "Ah," Voss said quietly, "right on time." "Who else is here?" Sophia's voice shook. "The person who actually killed your sister. The one I've been trying to protect you from, even as you've been investigating me." Voss stood, and for the first time Sophia saw genuine fear in his eyes. "I'm sorry, Miss Hart, I truly am, but this has gone too far." She won't let any of us walk away now. Marcus was struggling against his restraints. Alex who? Hello, darling. Sophia turned. Standing in the doorway was Evelyn Blackwood, Marcus's mother, holding a gun with the comfortable ease of someone who knew how to use it. Mother, Marcus's voice was strangled with disbelief. What are you doing? Cleaning up your mess, as usual. Evelyn's eyes were cold and calculating. You were always too soft, Marcus, too sentimental. When you refused the merger, refused to see reason, I knew I'd have to take matters into my own hands. You killed Claire. Sophia heard herself say it, still not quite believing. You killed your own daughter-in-law. I did what was necessary. That gold-digging whore was going to take my son for everything he had. Divorce him, take half the company, destroy everything I'd built. Evelyn's voice was matter-of-fact, as if she were discussing the weather. And worse, she discovered certain irregularities in how the company was financed in the early days, things that could have sent me to prison. What irregularities? Marcus was pale as death. Oh, darling, how do you think we got the initial capital to start Blackwood Industries? Your father's life insurance barely covered the funeral. I had to be creative. Embezzlement from my previous employer, some insider trading, a few shell companies to hide the money trail. Nothing too dramatic, but enough to be problematic if it came to light. Claire found out, Sophia said slowly. That's what Morty discovered, not Marcus's current business dealings, the original financing, the foundation everything was built on. Very good, yes. That little bitch hired a pie who was actually competent. Morty traced the money, found the irregularities, and told Claire he had evidence of criminal activity at the highest levels of Blackwood Industries. She thought he meant Marcus. She was going to meet with him, get the proof, and turn it over to the authorities. So you killed her. Marcus's voice was hollow. You tampered with her brakes and sent her off that cliff. I saved us all. If Claire had gone to the police, we'd all be ruined. You, me, Alexander, everyone connected to this company. I did it for the family, Marcus, for you. And Morty. Tracked him to Nevada, made it look like an overdose. Really, it was all quite simple. Evelyn raised the gun, pointing it at Sophia. And now I have to clean up this mess too. The nosy sister who couldn't leave well enough alone. Mother, stop. Marcus was pulling frantically at his restraints. You can't do this. I can and I will. I've come too far to let it all fall apart now. Evelyn's finger tightened on the trigger. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space. But it was Sophia who fell. Evelyn staggered backward, a bloom of red spreading across her chest. Behind her in the doorway stood a man Sophia had never seen before, middle-aged, Asian, wearing an expensive suit. Chen Wei. I told you, he said calmly, lowering his own gun. No more killing, no more mess. This was supposed to be a simple business transaction. Evelyn collapsed, blood pooling beneath her. Sophia stood frozen, unable to process what had just happened. Mr. Wei, Voss said, his voice shaking. Thank you, I tried to tell her. Yes, I know what you tried to tell her. That killing people draws attention, that there are cleaner ways to handle problems. Chen Wei stepped over Evelyn's body with barely a glance. Unfortunately, Mrs. Blackwood was too emotional to listen to reason. She's become a liability. You're working together, Marcus said, understanding dawning. You and Alex. The merger wasn't just about money. It was about covering up my mother's crimes. Your mother's crimes became our problem when she killed Claire Blackwood, Chen Wei said. We were trying to negotiate a quiet sale, fold Blackwood Industries into our company and bury any questionable financial history in the transition. Clean, simple, legal. But Evelyn panicked, started killing people, and now we have this mess. He turned to Sophia. You've been very persistent, Miss Hart, admirably so, but this ends now. You have a choice. Take the evidence you've gathered and disappear. Take your niece, take a generous settlement and never speak of this again, or join your sister. That's not a choice, that's a threat. It's reality. Evelyn is dead. She'll take the fall for Claire's murder, for Morty's death, for everything. The investigation will be closed. Justice of a sort will be served, but only if you're smart enough to accept it. Sophia looked at Marcus, still tied to the chair, his face a mask of horror and grief. She looked at Voss, who wouldn't meet her eyes. She looked at Evelyn's body, blood still spreading across the concrete floor. This was her moment, the choice that would define everything that came after. "Untie him," she said finally. "Untie Marcus, then we'll talk." Chen Wei nodded to Voss, who quickly cut Marcus's restraints. Marcus stood, rubbing his wrists, and immediately moved to Sophia's side. "We're leaving," Marcus said, "both of us, with Lily, and you're going to let us go." "In exchange for what?" Chen Wei asked. "In exchange for our silence about your involvement. As far as anyone knows, Evelyn acted alone. You and Alex were innocent business partners who had no idea what she was doing, but we keep all the evidence we found. Insurance, in case you decide we're a liability later." "That's acceptable." Chen Wei holstered his gun. "But understand this, if you speak to the police, if you try to expose what really happened here, I have resources you can't imagine. I will destroy you. I will destroy your daughter. I will erase any evidence you think you have and make you look like conspiracy theorists at best, accomplices at worst." "Understood," Marcus said. "Sophia." She wanted to fight, wanted to scream that this wasn't justice, that Evelyn dying didn't bring Claire back, that letting these men walk away was wrong on every level. But she thought about Lily, about the little girl upstairs who'd already lost her mother, who couldn't lose anyone else. "Understood," Sophia whispered. "Good, then we're done here." Chen Wei gestured to the door. "Mr. Voss will handle the cleanup. Mrs. Blackwood will be found in her home tomorrow, having committed suicide out of guilt over her daughter-in-law's death. A tragedy, but it will provide closure. You'll give a statement confirming her troubled state of mind, and then this unfortunate chapter will be closed." Marcus took Sophia's hand, and together they walked out of the warehouse, leaving Evelyn's body and the truth behind them. The police bought the suicide story. Why wouldn't they? Evelyn Blackwood's guilt was proven by her own confession, witnessed by her son, her business partner, and a respected international businessman. The evidence of brake tampering was conveniently discovered in her garage. The connection to James Morty's death was established through phone records that Sophia suspected Chen Wei had fabricated but couldn't prove. Claire's death was ruled a homicide, case closed, justice served at least on paper. The funeral for Evelyn was small, perfunctory. Marcus stood stone-faced through the whole thing, a man saying goodbye to a mother he'd never really known. Sophia held Lily's hand and tried not to think about all the lies they were going to have to tell this little girl as she grew up. After the funeral, after the last guest left, Marcus found Sophia in the library. She'd been avoiding him for days, unable to reconcile her feelings about everything that had happened. "We need to talk," he said quietly. "About what?" "About how we're complicit in covering up multiple murders. About how we're letting corrupt businessmen walk free. About how your mother killed my sister and we're pretending it was a tragic suicide." "About us." Sophia laughed bitterly. "There is no us, Marcus. There's a contract, there's Lily. There's a house full of lies, but there's no us." "Isn't there?" He moved closer. "Sophia, these last few weeks, working together, fighting together, I've felt more alive than I have in years, and I think you have too. That's just adrenaline and shared trauma talking." "Is it, or is it something more?" Sophia wanted to deny it, wanted to maintain the walls she'd built between them, but she couldn't, because he was right. Somewhere between investigating his mother and surviving together and building a life around Lily, something had shifted. She started to fall for him. For the man who was technically her husband but not really. For the man whose mother had killed her sister. For the man who was just as trapped as she was by circumstances neither of them had chosen. It was wrong, it was complicated, it was impossible. Even if there was something, Sophia said carefully, we can't act on it, the contract. The contract says separate bedrooms and no expectations of intimacy. It doesn't say we can't care about each other. It doesn't say we can't become partners in truth, not just on paper. Marcus, I know this is insane. I know the timing is terrible. I know you're grieving Claire and angry about everything that happened. But Sophia, I'm asking you to consider the possibility that maybe, just maybe, something good can come from all this tragedy. Before Sophia could respond, Lily's voice called from the hallway. Aunt Sophie, Daddy, where are you? They found her in the doorway. Her stuffed rabbit clutched to her chest, looking small and vulnerable. Can we have pancakes? Lily asked, like Mommy used to make. Sophia looked at Marcus, saw her own grief and hope reflected in his eyes. Yes, baby, Sophia said, taking Lily's hand. We can have pancakes. 6 months later, Sophia woke to sunlight streaming through the windows of her suite and the sound of Lily laughing somewhere in the house. She stopped jumping at shadows, stopped investigating every noise, stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop. The contract still had 13.5 years to run, but somewhere along the way, it had stopped feeling like a prison sentence and started feeling like a life. She and Marcus had settled into something that looked like a real marriage from the outside and felt increasingly real on the inside. They had dinner together every night. They made decisions about Lily together. They'd started spending evenings talking, really talking, about everything from books to philosophy to their hopes for Lily's future. They hadn't crossed the physical line the contract prohibited, but they'd become friends, partners, co-parents in the truest sense. And last night, after Lily was asleep, Marcus had found Sophia on the balcony and said, I need to tell you something. What? I'm filing for a modification to our contract, to remove the clauses about separate bedrooms and no intimacy. Sophia's heart had started racing. Why? Because I'm in love with you. Because I have been for months. Because the contract was supposed to protect us both from having to pretend, but now I'm pretending every day that I don't want more, and I can't do it anymore. Marcus, you don't have to feel the same way. The modification will make it optional, not mandatory. But Sophia, I need you to know how I feel. I need to stop hiding it. She stood there frozen, terrified, hopeful. What if we try, she'd finally said, and it doesn't work? What if we mess this up and ruin what we've built for Lily? Then we figure it out together, the way we figured out everything else. Marcus had taken her hand. I'm not asking you to love me back. I'm just asking you to let me love you, and maybe someday if you feel something too. Sophia had kissed him then, finally, desperately, 3 months of want and denial and fear pouring out in that single moment. When they'd pulled apart, both breathing hard, Marcus had smiled, really smiled, the first genuine smile she'd seen from him in all the months they'd known each other. So that's a yes to the contract modification. That's a yes to trying, to seeing if we can build something real from all these lies. Now, 6 months later, Sophia made her way downstairs to find Marcus and Lily in the kitchen, both covered in flour, attempting to make pancakes. Aunt Sophie, Lily called, we're making breakfast. Daddy said we should surprise you. I can see that. Sophia surveyed the disaster. How's it going? Pancakes are harder than they look, Marcus admitted. I may have been overly confident in my culinary abilities. Sophia laughed, really laughed, and joined them in the chaos. Later, after breakfast was consumed and Lily was playing in her room, Marcus found Sophia cleaning up the kitchen. I got something for you, he said, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside was a ring, not an engagement ring, they were already married after all, but a simple gold band with an inscription inside, Second Chances. I know our marriage started as a lie, Marcus said softly, but I'd like it to become the truth. Not because of the contract, not because of Lily, but because I choose you, every day, for real. Sophia slipped the ring on her finger. It fit perfectly. I choose you too, she said, even though you're infuriating and complicated and come with more baggage than anyone should have to carry. Is that your idea of a romantic declaration? I'm not very good at this. I've never been someone's second wife before. You're not my second wife, you're my only wife, the one that matters. Marcus pulled her close. Everything before this was just prologue. They stood in the kitchen, holding each other, building something real from the ashes of tragedy. Lily's voice called from upstairs. Daddy, Aunt Sophie, come play with me. Sophia pulled back, smiling. Duty calls. That's parenthood, constant interruptions. I wouldn't have it any other way. As they walked upstairs together to play whatever elaborate game Lily had invented, Sophia thought about Claire, about her sister who had died uncovering secrets, who had wanted Sophia in Lily's life, who had been trapped in a loveless marriage herself. Thank you, Sophia thought, for Lily, for bringing me here, for giving me this impossible, complicated, beautiful second chance at a family. She would never know if Claire had somehow known how things would turn out, if some part of her sister had planned for Sophia and Marcus to find each other in the wreckage. But it didn't matter. What mattered was the little girl ahead of them, calling for her father and her aunt. What mattered was the man beside her, who'd been a stranger and a suspect and was now something like a soulmate. What mattered was that from tragedy and lies and impossible contracts, they'd built something true. And that was enough. That was everything.